Another one of the things that we'll be dealing with in this course is the drawing of the cartoon characters' bodies. And this is important because when we're designing our overall character, we have to think about complementary shapes and line of action going through your character and various things like that, balance, weight, proportion, that type of thing. And so what we want to do is we want to try and key in on some of these basic elements and how they're used. So we've already discussed how to use your simple sphere for drawing your character's head, the center line, and the eye line, and how they're used in relation to the angle and tilt of the character's face. Now let's say we're going to add on a head shape. We'll go to this upside down teardrop shape there. What we want to do is we want to go to a complementary shape for the body. So what we can do is we can take this basic shape that we have here and reverse it, turn it upside down. We'll put the pelvic mass down here, like this, and then we simply draw through and draw our shape like that. And what we're doing here is we're drawing a complementary shape on it, but we're also using one of the secondary principles, and that's the use of the S curve or the C curve in the body. Here's a nice S curve running through the body right there, and we have a C curve here going into an S curve down here. And these lines are all complementing each other. You can see the curvature of this line going this way, and this line continues this way, and it creates a flow through the character called the line of action. It's important that we understand the elements of the lines of action and the S curve and C curve, so that when you go to put your drawings down, they don't look stiff and awkward and stilted. So we have to remember what the S curves are. C curves are basically S shaped and C shaped. You would never have something like a W curve or an M curve within a short space of your drawing. Now, if I was to draw the legs on this cartoon character, I would bring the legs down here like this and continue them through this way as though they came down like this and like that. Now you could argue with me that this is actually an M curve right here. So if I turn this sideways, you can see it's forming like the letter M. That's true, but you have to look at each section of the body individually. So it really comes from here down to the hips is the S curve, and then from here, from the hips down into the ankles, that's an S curve. So the WM rule is sort of wiped out as far as the overall line going through the character, unless you're getting into an action pose where the character's throwing something or something like that. Then you'd use a pure S curve. So if I was to take this drawing here and push it into more of a throwing type of a pose, where let's say the character is throwing a ball, and I put the character's arm on here like this, and did this with the character's throwing, and their hand goes in that position there, sort of a lame little flip like that, then it's not an exaggerated pose. And what we want to do is we want to push the pose a little bit further. So maybe the character was, let's say their head was here, we'd push this back. Actually, I'll put it on a different sheet of paper here. If you take and push the character's position a little bit more so that they're leaning forward like this, and we put their body back here, then throw their arm out this way, excuse me, and what you can see is we've got a more exaggerated pose, and we actually have an S curve that's running through the body right here. I'm going to bring this leg forward. If it's the left arm the character is throwing with, in this case here, we'd bring the right leg forward. Keep this leg here back in this type of position, and you bring the opposite arm back over here. And that would exaggerate the pose a little bit better. So you've got a lame throwing, and you've got the more exaggerated one. So you're looking for S curves and C curves going through the entire body. The arms are forming a C curve here. There's an S curve there, an exaggerated S curve running through there. So we need to be looking for those types of things in our character drawings as well. And then we have to think about balance, whether or not this character is properly balanced for the action that they're doing, etc., etc. The perspective of the plane that the character is actually standing on, is it appropriate? Thinking about the perspective of the hips, the way the pelvic girdle rotates around here, the line on the belt, the open front face of the pants here, the center line coming up like that, the torque on the body, how it twists across in this direction here, showing a little bit of the backup on this part, and this arm flares back and over. These, again, are all things that we need to be contending with as we're drawing. And again, it's think when you draw. That's the whole order of you going through this process of drawing. You have to think when you're drawing, otherwise you're just mindlessly fumbling around and guessing at what it is that you're doing.